Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Today, the third session of the Ho'oponopono Neurographica practice transformational program. We're going to start going on Facebook and Instagram live, and then we are going to start our program. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, Marla, welcome. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the Neurographica Ho'oponopono plus Neurographic Transformational Program. Today, we're starting session 3. Just give me a second. I just want to make sure I'm going live on my Instagram. There I am. Instagram is here. I'm ready. Going. Beautiful. Okay. Excellent. Marla, hello, hello. Nice to see you. Excellent, excellent. I am going to go. Give me a second. Okay, so welcome, welcome. Here I am. Okay, I am here. I can see you guys. Welcome to the third session of a Neurographica Ho'oponopono plus Neurographic Transformational Program. And today's session 3 of our open sessions, where we discuss the theoretical understanding of how Ho'oponopono works. Why does it work? How does it, how do we bring the Ho'oponopono knowledge to the understanding? Because yes, of course, we can say hi Janet, how are you? It's so nice to see you here. We can say the phrases, but I think it's important to fully understand the process of how the phrases clean out, how the phrases get you to the void, to the zero, right? We call it the zero, right? Cleaning. When we get to excuse me, when we get to full cleaning, to full clearance and understanding the clearing the energy, kind of the pathway to the divine, the pathway to our soul, so we can get the full absolute drive. We can get the energy that we need for any project or any learnings that we are embarking on, right? Any initiation that we would like to begin. Today, I'm going to bring a very interesting part of our learning. Those of you on Instagram, I will be drawing and showing you. Those of you on Facebook, I will be showing you the structure of what we're learning. And of course, also I will give you a sneak peek at what I'm drawing, okay? So, state of void. Okay, excellent. Instagram followers, I'm just gonna turn over. I hope you will be able to see. Okay, maybe I'll move closer here. Is this better? I think I need to get a different stand for my phone, so you will be able to see it more closely, more appropriately. Okay, excellent. Now, Suhair, welcome. So nice to see you. Welcome from Dubai. Excellent to see everybody, guys, right? Hello from what country you're from. So we can, we can attest, we can see to the beautiful array of international, associations, international connections we're making here with each other. So that's excellent. So glad to see you, everybody. Let's start learning through the Ho'oponopono transformation program, okay? For those of you on Facebook, like I said, I'm going to transfer my camera so you can see what I am drawing, what I am explaining together with my presentation, okay? Okay, making sure that both cameras can see me, the Facebook and the Instagram, okay? The Instagram, I need to get a different, finally understanding that I do need to get a different camera holder for my phone, okay, phone holder. Okay, so looking at the diagram, you will see something, an interesting structure here, okay? The very top, we have a symbol. In this case, it shows like a rectangle, right? This is infinite, the divine. Some people may call it the universe. I call it God, right? Almighty. Then we have a connection to something in Neurographica. This symbol is easily recognizable as the masculine energy, right? The triangle is a masculine energy. We are referring here to the unconscious mind, right? We also refer to it as the father, okay? And when we refer to it as the father actually refers to the actual physical understanding of how we understand the father, right? The beginning of life for a human being. And of course, the one who actually carries out the life, carries out the child, is the mother. I'm going to tell you this is the original structure from Dr. Hulan himself, right? And the mother refers to the conscious mind, okay? And then we have me, myself, and I, the human being itself. That refers to the subconscious mind, okay? In my understanding, the way I originally also learned with Dr. Hulan is that the mother is a subconscious and the child, the human being, is the conscious, right? Because we are connected to our consciousness, to our understanding of the world, our reaction to the world, the reflection, the awareness, and everything else, okay? So it's important to understand how does Ho'oponopono work within the framework of this specific structure, right? So we have the infinite, the divine, the universe, God. We also refer to something like this, Jung referred to this as a self, right? Also the drive, the ultimate drive, right? Basically, this is the source of the infinite energy, okay? The infinite divine intelligence, divine energy, right? In the chakra system, this is referred to the top chakra, the crown chakra, right? This connection we have to the above, right? In the Sefirot, the Kabbalistic Sefirot, we refer to it as the Keter. Okay, Keter. Keter. Okay, I'm writing Russian already. Keter. Okay. Keter is also actually translated as the crown. Hello, Gigi. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you here, darling. Okay. And it's interesting to start noting that this top here, if you remember our analogy of the four worlds, right? And I realize I do want to make this bigger. Okay, that this is the physical world. This is who we are, the way we correspond to life. through our five senses, right? If you remember the pyramid of consciousness, again, everything corresponds, guys, right? The pyramid of consciousness, if you look at it this way, okay, that this is the beginning of it, actual consciousness, operational consciousness, what we see and we hear around us, and the way we react to everything around us, okay? Then we have the emotional, right? The way we react involves our emotions, right? We get sad, or we get mad, or we get excited, or we get happy, right? And that would be the emotional world, and that would correspond to this area when we start doing the rounding and the adding the shape, adding the neural lines to our shape, okay? Then we have the mental world, okay? The mental world refers to our unconscious mind, right? The father. And although in traditional understanding, right, the mental world does also refer to our conscious, subconscious, and unconscious, which is what the pyramid of consciousness is, right? How our mental world works. However, in the concept, in the framework of this specific session, we are breaking, the conscious world into three parts, right? And associate that the human being, right, the child, right? The code name for human being is a child, right? Because this is how we come to the world. We come to explore the world as the child does. The child is the allegory to the way any human being explores the world, right? Then we also, then we have the mother. The mother is some kind of it's kind of a subconscious mind in many ways, right? It, first of all, feeds the subconscious mind, right? As a person who is the closest to the child. Again, when we say the mother, we're saying the archetypal, the role of a mother, right? Different people play the role of a mother. Nowadays, we have fathers playing the role of the mother, mothers playing the role of the father, where father is a person who goes and earns living. Nowadays, we have actually both partners, earning living. So do take this, guys, quite allegorically. It is not to be taking very specifically, exactly as I'm saying, that this has to be the mother, this has to be the father. No, allegorical, archetypal, the roles we play both in the society and within the family system. Okay, guys, this is important to understand, right? We're actually going to notice here behind the father and behind the mother, we also have ancestry, right? Right? Those of you who drew, if you ever participated in a neuromandala course, there is a mandala that we draw with the person in the middle, and then we start adding the ancestors, right? The mother's side, the father's side, right? Then the mother's mother, the father's mother, and we very soon, the whole mandala is full of all of our ancestors. And it's an amazing way to see how that, evolves and what happens. If any of you are interested, we can either gather a group and just do a live session, which would be, I think, absolutely amazing as we connect to the ancestry, or B, you can just inquire from me and I can sell you a pre-recorded session on it, and you can just draw this, at your own pace in the comfort of your home. And that's interesting to note, right? So we have ancestors also, but there is something above in the spiritual world that we refer to as the divine. Okay, the divine is, again, God, universe, this source of infinite energy, infinite possibilities, infinite everything. It's past, present, and future. It's your soul, right? I like to call it the soul, right? So what happens over here? It's interesting to start noting the understanding, the way to understand, the way to bring understanding to the way what happened, okay? Originally, remember we discussed it, this is how we started our very first session, right? Originally, everybody are born, with this pureness. It's empty. All of the stages are empty. I mean, this one, of course, comes from the divine, right? Comes from this world that we do not even fully understand. As we know, there is also fifth world, right? Which we don't have any access to. We just know it exists. It's something that I do want to know, that this understanding of the fifth world has opened up for the past maybe 30, 40 years as the consciousness, the collective consciousness of the world is increasing. More people are understanding about the connection of the four world, about the importance of connecting the four world. We have started getting access to the understanding that actually there is a fifth world, right? And sometimes we may even say that the fifth world is the reference to this specific state, okay? Just for you guys to understand, right? Okay. Originally, the child is born with the pureness, with the void, with the clearance. The child is born like this. It's absolutely empty. It's absolutely pure. It's filled with, I wouldn't say it's empty. It's filled with something in Kabbalistic terms we call or, right? Which is called light. Again, in our understanding, this light refers to this infinite energy. Okay. Light as in not just the light that lights up the room, that gives, being able to see as opposed to the darkness, but actually light that is the infusing light, the energy light, okay? And all of these parts of us are filled with this pure energy, with this, right, light. Both our conscious, right, the way we see, both our subconscious, our total unconscious, right? Remember, the karma doesn't wake up until we start connecting with the outside world. So the outside world is where something happens, right? Something occurs here. For those of you on Facebook, right? Something occurs here. We see what? We see stimuli, right? The mother starts getting worried. The mother is tired. The mother doesn't get the support she needs. The mother is worried about the resources in her life. And we start getting stimuli, and the child is trying to make sense of it. Our conscious mind, which remember for a child, it's very tiny, has no experience. However, very quickly, it gets to the point of understanding that in order to have this life is based upon experience, okay? So the stimuli is what bases our experience. Okay, we have experience here. It's called life, right? And within our life, all our experiences start leading something we call, right? This is Dr. Hulen's mark called M, memory, right? We start having emotional attachment, emotional reaction to what happens around us, right? We start crying, we start feeling uncomfortable. And that will lead to certain understanding in the conscious mind, right? In the unconscious mind or our mental world, right? We start having maybe memories of the mother didn't pick me up right away. The mother didn't pay attention. The mother didn't feed me, or the food wasn't so good. Maybe there are not enough resources. Again, they all lead to one thing, right? The question that the constantly asking, and we are constantly asking ourselves, are there enough resources, right? Right, and we talked about it last session, right? Resources would be pluses, right? And we constantly have minuses and pluses in our life, and there is a balance, right? And it's important to keep that balance. Excuse me. We need the constant pluses so we feel comfortable, we feel happy, we can go on. We also need the minuses. So we, when we feel the void of something in our life, that's when we start understanding, oh, if I'm thirsty, that's when I'm going to know. I'm going to pick up the bottle, bring it to my mouth and drink it. I wouldn't know that I need to drink unless I feel this minus of thirst, okay? So constant balance between the two. However, there's something occurs when there's so much memory build up in the emotional and the mental world with the mother and the father. And when we say the mother and the father, it means the mother and the father contribute to it. Again, this is not to place guilt or anything. This is just to purely understand how life works, the structure of understanding how, we contribute to each other on the level of a mother or a father, right? As the mother who constantly, of course, we all know that ultimate goal of the mother is to take care of her child and love her child, but the way the mother or the father express it may not be the way the child may understand as ultimate life, right? A love. Like the child would think getting unlimited amount of candy would be the way the mother or the father can express love. But we on our parent level, from a health reason, for many other reasons, right? We understand that's not a reality. The reality is to actually, put boundaries, put limit on how much candy the child eats, okay? So it's interesting to understand that with certain time, this emotional memory, right? This kind of buildup, right? Starts influencing the actual life of a child, the actual way the child, who at this moment can become a teenager or even an adult, right? But again, we're going to allegorically call it the child, the human being. At this moment, the human being looks around his or her life and starts understanding that there's something uncomfortable, there's something missing, there is the way the person perceives life is a bit different, is a bit challenging. So they start understanding that what they want to do is change. And they're trying to change life over here, right, at this level. While we are trying over here on the bottom level, guys, on the physical level, right? And what Ho'oponopono says is, hold on. In order for you to change the physical, let's change the antecedent, right? Let's change something that will lead you to perceive. You perceive life, how the famous psychological learning of learned helplessness, right? When a person keeps trying to do something and keeps becoming, either getting failed or getting the answer from the universe or from people around him that they're not supporting this, they're not letting this happen. The person learns something we call learned helplessness. The person does not believe in trying to achieve anything, in trying to improve, in trying to change anything within their lives, okay? So what do? They start trying and trying on the life level. And what Dr. Hulen says in Ho'oponopono method, Morna Simeona, the beginner, the kahuna who started teaching of Ho'oponopono to the world, to the wide world, right? What they're saying is step back, move back here. And we talked about it. It starts at the mother level, right? It starts at the level over here of subconsciously. You start understanding, like I said, that it's interesting to note, right? Some people say, why does this always happen to me? Everything bad happens to me, but it's interesting to start understanding it's not about something bad happening to you, but rather understanding that maybe within you, you have some kind of blocks or inhibitions, right? That needs to be transformed, that needs to be worked through in order for your life to start clearing up, right? Those of you who are students in Neurographica, even if you finish just the basic course, this is what we refer to as ARL algorithm, right? Where we start removing the limitations that holding us back, right? And when the subconscious mind decides to step down and say, you know what, my child, let's start working and start saying the 4 phrases, right? Change starts occurring, right? First of all, on the physical level, right? If anybody ever tells you, thank you, giving you gratitude, I love you, hearing those 2 words makes you feel so good, right? On the emotional level, right? Remember, the emotional is closely connected to the physical level, right? And then the person says, I'm sorry, please forgive me, right? What happens? The person right away, what happens? Clearance, right? The person becomes clear. The person starts understanding that life is wonderful, life is happy, right? I'm starting my PhD program now, and my curator is writing to me, and I'm talking about, participating in a conference, talking about something, and my curator is writing to me and saying, can you please make sure to explain how the concept of happiness plays an important role in whatever topic you're choosing? And I was mesmerized with that, because for me personally, the idea of the fact that the happiness must play an important role into any and every state, any topic, anything you do, that was like, how amazing is this that I'm enrolled in the program, right? That actually, use this as a criteria for any work, right? Make sure you bring in the idea of happiness. Where is the idea of happiness within your work, right? Which I felt like, oh, so I don't even have to justify the fact that I want to bring happiness, right? Happiness is exactly a part. So that's amazing, right? And that's what happens. The person starts feeling happy here. And when a person starts feeling happy at this level, You start bringing the plus to this level. Okay, so step one is from the mother, from the subconscious mind, we'll go into the conscious. Step two is going from the conscious mind into the unconscious mind, okay? You know what, those of you on Facebook, I'm just going to show you my my notes because I think it may be more understandable, although I have much more notes than the one on the presentation, okay? The first step we do is going from the mother. The mother makes the first step. She says the words to her child. Again, at this point, we're talking allegorically. I will explain how this happened in real life, right? The relationship between parents and the child, right? And then the mind, right? The state of mind goes completely further up, enters the triangle, right? Enters the father and starts what? According to the neurographic term, start adding the harmony to the what? To the angles, right? To something sharp. And that's what occurs here, right? That's what we are trying to fully understand. Give me a second, guys. Just want to get back to the okay. Like I said, sometimes my Facebook kind of freezes. I want to make sure that I'm up to, you know, that everything is going okay in live, okay? And then as soon as the father clears, guess what happens? This pathway is fully cleared up, okay? And we start getting what? Let's give it the allegory of the sun, right? We start getting this infinite energy, right? Just to understand Kabbalistically, the sun is just a little tiny, I would say like less than 1% of what this infinite energy, the source of infinite energy represents, okay? The sun is, that's why a lot of times, you know, the sun is referred to the allegory of getting energy. That's why when we even discuss the chakra of the, you know, solar perplex, we refer to it as solar, right? As something to do with the sun, because the sun is the actual representation in this world from this source of infinite energy, okay? We get the sun, we kind of light up, this energy starts getting clear up, there's no more buildup, and the energy comes in, okay? In the, again, in the structure over here, I'm going to show you. Yes, I will do that, Marla. Excellent idea. Thank you. That's why you're my sidekick. That's why you're my Robin, right? That's why you're here to give me all this wonderful ideas. Yes. So what happens when we do the Ho'oponopono, right? Taking you back to this diagram. Remember how I said that this part is a symbol of the divine infinite energy. Those of you on Instagram, I'm drawing so you can see. And then we have the triangle, which is the father or the unconscious mind, right? The unconscious also refers to collective consciousness, right? Collective. Then we have this double structure, understanding that the mother, right, which is the subconscious, and the child, which is conscious, right? Okay. Again, those of you, you can see over here on Facebook, you can see my notes, right? Yes, okay. So what happens here? When we clear this way up, right? Everything is cleared up. Do you know what happens? The divine energy that we drew the sun from, right? Because we have rays, right? And the rays start reaching every single level of who we are, okay? And we get this symbol, this bit of the divine within us, okay? The divine exists everywhere. What happens? This is the result we're looking to receive. The divine is the inspiration, okay? when you start doing Ho'oponopono, when you start doing the 4 phrases, any way you decide to do, whether it's just quick saying it constantly, whether it's doing the deep meditation, whether it's doing the coaching style, long, and with intention, whether it's just doing the breathing, like what I showed you last time, every time we do it, especially if you do it 10 times in a row, but it doesn't matter, even if you do it once, even if you do it, the more you do it, the more you're cleaning up, right? This build up energy, this build up memory, this build up leftover understanding that life can be tough, life can give you some challenges, and understanding that, yes, in order to overcome challenges, we need to kind of connect to the divine. For religious people, it's connection to God, right? And connect to the inspiration, to infinite energy. And you get inspired. You start getting understanding, you start getting ideas, you start getting certain, projects or maybe insights, right? Neurographica will refer to it as getting insights during the reflection process, right? So this rectangle is about insights. As soon as you clear up all 4 ways, you become empty. And once you're empty, the inspiration is free to come to you. Okay. And that's a basic understanding, that the major understanding of what we do and what happens when we practice Neurographica. I want to, excuse me, I want to tell you an interesting, as I'm embarking, right, as I want to go further on, discuss the story about allowing the infinite in your life, right? Some of you may have heard of it, the famous joke about the atheist and the shark. Some people say the story about the atheist and the bear, right? So the atheist, I like the shark story, right? So the atheist goes swimming, right? And he's swimming, and he goes boating, and then, he decides I'm going to swim, and he's swimming in the ocean, and then he's looking behind himself, and he sees a shark. And he's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? The shark is nearing me, and the actual water, my actual boat is quite far away. I don't know how to get there. So what is happening? What does he do, right? It's a regular understanding of the atheist in the foxhole, right? In the hole, right? What does the atheist do? He starts praying to God. He starts saying, oh God, please save me, save me, save me. I know I'm an atheist, but at this point I realize I need something. I need some kind of support. I need some kind of outside, out of this world, some kind of, metaphysical help that would save me from this danger, right? So God kind of, opens up, the clouds kind of opening up, and there's a light, right? Talking about the light goes through, and he hears a voice, and the voice says, oh, interesting. You decided you want to believe in me. You decided you want to ask me for something. Sure. But how do I know this is genuine? How do I know this is, actually happening, that you're actually talking to me? You're not going to renounce me again. And the atheist says, you're right. It's quite interesting to understand this, because everything stops, right? The ocean stops waving, the sharks gets frozen, everybody stops, and he just sees this frozen state, the still life, the still motion, and he hears the voice of God, and he says, how about this? I do like a challenge. And how about this, God? If you show me that the shark can become religious, right? The shark can show that the shark believes in you, then you know what? I will become religious. I will start believing, in some kind of divine providence, in some kind of force beyond this world. Just kind of give me a sign that, through the shark, let me explain to me, show me how I can start believing in you, right? And God says, sure, go ahead, let's do this. And the still motion stops, right? The waves are crushing again. And the person start noticing that the shark actually stopped, opened the mouth, but stopped. And it's quiet, and he hears something. He's listening, and he hears the shark saying something, and the atheist thinking, oh my God, it's actually happening. I'm actually being saved. And he starts hearing the words. The shark has started saying, dear Lord, thank you for this wonderful food that you are sending me. right? And there's a joke, right? There's an understanding that sometimes we are looking for some divine providence, sometimes we're looking for some actual, explanation or actual proof that something is happening. And again, the understanding here is that just go back to your roots, go back to your ancestry, go back to your explanation, go back to your understanding of how the world works, start understanding that in order to work, to change your reality, you need to go back to your subconscious, to your unconscious, and then connect to the infinite energy. Okay. Yeah. I love that joke. And I originally heard it. Again, I actually heard it at the advanced Ho'oponopono practice. And I felt like it was so relevant. It was so understanding, how we constantly looking around our physical world and trying to say, what's happening here? Why? How am I connected? How do I change my life? Right. And we're looking for some actual physical ways of changing. We need to learn to understand that we can change the world, but we need to start changing ourselves. Okay. I want to bring to the other aspect of what we're discussing here. Remember how I wrote here, father plus ancestry, mother plus ancestry. Where is this coming from, right? Where is this understanding that when we say the Ho'oponopono phrases, we actually influence the way our family system, the way our ancestors, the ancestral trauma, the karma. Yeah, there is both world trauma and karma, right? And here, let's see, ancestral trauma, which leads to, when it's not treated, what happens? We have karma, right? We have this buildup, something that we refer in your Ho'oponopono as build up within the emotional and the mental world. Okay. And where does it come from? It comes again originally from the very original. Pardon me if I'm bringing you the biblical story again. I hope none of you here are atheists here, that it's okay for me to bring the biblical story, because it really most metaphorical in understanding how we humans operate, right? And Adam and Eve, right? When they lived in the paradise, we all know they had a perfect life. I mean, imagine wanting something, actually desiring something, right? Being so connected to this desire, to this infinite source, that when you want an apple, the apple actually grows in front of you on the tree. It gets to the exact, texture and color that you personally enjoy. And then what happens? And then you just take it, you eat it, and it fully actualize it right away, start giving you energy to go on with your life. Okay. Imagine how much goodness, how much, how many areas of our life would be improved with this kind of connection to our desire, to our divine, to our infinite, right? To the unconscious idea of who we are. And then we know that in the story, in the biblical story, Adam and Eve, right? What happens? They live in the paradise. They live in this perfect life. What happens when you live in a perfect life? We know for humans, it's called being kind of bored, right? What do? They try from the tree of knowledge, even though they were given one commandment: do not try from the tree of knowledge. It needs time to ripe. The idea wasn't that they cannot try at all. The idea was that it takes some time to ripe. It takes some time for the world to evolve and process itself and become perfect. And them being humans, which are curious and wanting to understand more than what is given to them, right? We all know we're like that. We constantly ask why. We constantly try to understand why is this happening, or how to get somewhere, or how to progress, achieve something in life. And we're constantly trying to go further and further. So of course, the famous question that God asked was, where are you, Adam? Right? And there are a lot of commentaries, a lot of explanations on people asking the question, why did God ask, where are you? Did God not know where Adam is? Which is kind of ironic, because we know, kind of silly, right? Even kids understand it. Kids look around and they say, but God knows where Adam is. It's like, why are you asking, right? And the idea was that to hear Adam, to hear what Adam will say, right? So Adam hides behind the tree and says, oh, I'm having fun here. I'm designing something we call closing now, right? And when asked, and then God asked, why? What happened? Why do you need to be dressed all of a sudden? Right? You were fine being undressed, in natural, your natural costume up until this point. And Adam, instead of saying, I'm sorry, Almighty, for falling short, I'm sorry for following my human curiosity, I'm sorry for not fulfilling your commandment fully, what does Adam say? You know what? It's not me, it's her. You know, that's something you gave me, the woman. Her name is Eve. That's her. She's the one that made me eat the fruit, right? So he started placing blame. And that keeps going around and around through generations and generations, okay? So when we start working with ancestral trauma, when we start working with our conscious and subconscious and unconscious, we connect to the collective and consciousness, right? Again, we discussed this actually within our pyramid of, right, of consciousness over here, where we connect to the ancestors, the myths, the archetypes, the egregors, right? And we work with the ancestry, we work with the collective and consciousness. We start figuring out the ways to fix this, the ways to bring this to the to understanding that when we do the Ho'oponopono, when we do the clearing, first the mother goes down, clears up the child, then the child goes and clears up the father. The child clears up the father. Guess what happens? The collective and consciousness, the ancestry gets cleared up too. So we actually do work with ancestral karma. You know, when we say Ho'oponopono, we clear up the ancestors, right? We clear up our family trauma, all the hangups, all the associations we have with certain ideas or certain emotions. And then we go further up, get to the divine area, we get to the infinite light, the infinite energy, and we'll bring inspiration. And the interesting part is to bring inspiration down to earth, okay? That's the reason why we humans exist. Our real work on earth, you know, is not to constantly be bombarded by what we talked about, right? By stimuli, by experience, and be kind of more traumatized, don't know how to react emotionally or mentally. Our true purpose in life is to get inspiration, filter it through the mind, right? We have the quadrants of the metamodern here, right? Where we say first we have a fantasy, right? And fantasies here, it's inspiration. Then we bring it into a dream. Dream is how we deal with it on the mental level, right? Then that dream becomes a plan, right? Become more conscious about it, right? We start making a plan how to bring this inspiration, this idea, this project into the physical reality. And then we have realization, okay? We start understanding that in order to bring a project, let's say we need a funding, you know, open up a business, we need funding, we need space. If you do nowadays, a lot of things are online, right? Like what we do now. You need space, but you still need space, right? I actually have a physical space. I have a computer I need to, in order to go through, right? I need a table, paper, markers. I need physical items, right? In the physical world in order to bring the inspiration to the realization. Okay. And that's the main purpose of a human being in this world. Bring the inspiration to life. Everything is, you know, improving the life of yourself. Of course, your life improves as you bring the inspiration, the project to life, then improving the life of others, right? Through many different energies, right? One of them would be, actually, I do want to tell you, right? The next program we're starting after the Ho'oponopono, which will be exactly in 2 weeks, will be the financial regeneration. And I'm going to start doing a series of open sessions to which all of you are invited, as I'm very excited about psychology of money. One of the energies that we improve, that we start working with each other and helping each other, is the energy of money, right? That energy is really kind of frowned upon many times, right? People don't openly talk about money, don't discuss, you know, how much who gets what. It's like a bit of a taboo. So that's interesting to start noticing, start becoming aware, conscious, you know, start understanding, clearing up, again, clear up all the buildups on this area so you can connect to the divine, get the inspiration down. And that's how a human being operates, right? We constantly get inspiration, bring projects down, realize it, enrich our life, enrich the life of our family, the life of our community, the world at large. And then guess what happens? Kind of go again for this inspiration and bring it down again. Okay. This should be the constant kind of, I don't want to say the word perfect, but again, ideal, maybe, you know, this kind of ideal understanding of ideal way of living your life. Okay. You see something? There you are. Okay. But again, in order to understand fully, we need to practice more and more transformational practices. One of them is what I'm bringing to you, right? Saying the Ho'oponopono phrases. I want to bring to you the next part of our program. I'm starting to understand that, I'm going, since I am not in like live, I do have one person live with me, but in generally, I'm kind of, let me see what's going on. Are there any questions? Excellent. Thank you, Marla. Excellent. Good to hear from you. I feel some connection to some live person at this point. But the idea is that please do write your questions if you're having them, because I feel like, I'm going on and on. I feel like sometimes I'm going a bit too fast because I'm trying to explain it to you. But if I don't get any questions, if I, don't see that you're fully understanding it, I feel like, am I going too fast? Are you following me? So do let me know. Do write your notes, your messages to me. Let me know what you're thinking. If you have any question about what I just explained, because I'm going further. I'm going further down. I'm giving you more explanation. So glad to hear from you, Gigi. I'm so glad. I know, honey, you are like amazing. I can see your smileys, right? And just so I understand that you're with me, because we're going to go further. I want to give you more practical understanding, more practical explanation. If you remember this meditation that we did with you guys last time, right? I'm going to draw that square with you again, because now I would like to explain to you that we can go beyond the 4 phrases, right? There is more than 4 phrases, right? That originally, I do want to tell you that when I originally learned the 4 phrases, I was practicing, I passed the teachings to my husband. We were both practicing and saying, and at one point I started noticing that I got stuck up. I got stuck on the last phrase, right? When you say, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. The last phrase kind of stayed with me. Right? At a certain moment, I started understanding that I feel a bit awkward going from please forgive me and then I love you, right? Or thank you. And I realized that, what I'm missing is actual accepting of forgiveness, right? I started feeling that I actually want to hear, the word saying, how we have 4 phrases. First we say thank you, right? Then we say, I love you. Then we say, I am sorry. Please forgive me. Right now, if you're saying this quickly, by the way, you can say this quickly. Sometimes when you're in this hyperactive kind of mode, I do that, right? I always say, thank you, love you, sorry, forgive me. Thank you, love you, sorry, forgive me, right? The point is, after you say, please forgive me, especially when you do this intentionally, especially when you do this consciously, when you do it the long style, there's the long and the short. I'm going to explain it to you. The short is actually just saying, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, without the actual, attaching any meaning or any intention to it. There's a long, which I use, in coaching, right? Which I base my coaching practice on. And it takes time because, we connect to it on a more deeper level where I say, for example, and we can actually do this practice, you can give me any topic and I can show you how we can say thank you on a deeper level. For example, if you want to say the phrases to your mother, right? A parent or a child, right? Let's say a mother at this point. Thank you, mother, for giving birth to me. I love you because you gave me so much love and so much resources and you bought me toys. I don't know, right? You can say anything that comes to your mind, whatever it is, just connect to it. Then you can say, I'm sorry that sometimes I feel that you're not treating me correctly. I have some, I want to argue with you, or I want to give you some grief about something I didn't get in my life. Please forgive me. Now, please forgive me can have no explanation because it's actual, please forgive me, but you can actually give the full explanation, say, please forgive me for trying to argue with you or trying to kind of demand something from you instead of just being thankful. Okay. And you can say this phrases over and over again, but at one point I started realizing that I have a harder connection. I have a hard time making a connection back to the first phrase. And again, remember how the universe usually answers our calls, our pleas. Again, if you practice Ho'oponopono, your consciousness, your connection to the universe will be on such heightened level that your universe will start giving you the answer, will start showing you, giving you ideas and giving you possibilities to go further. And at one moment I get, I wasn't even signed up for Joe Vitale's email, but somehow I get upon this training called Advanced Ho'oponopono, and I start learning. I know I buy it, of course, because I'm like, who doesn't want to learn Ho'oponopono further? And then I embark on this amazing teaching where Dr. Joe Vitale actually explained the same thing. He says, sometimes people get hung up on please forgive me. And I'm assuming he had a similar experience, because he started saying that he went further and added the fifth phrase, okay? There's a famous fifth phrase, okay? The fifth phrase is, I forgives myself, okay? And each word here has a meaning. I refers to this idea of the divine, of something that Jung calls the self, okay? Something beyond. And I is a capital I, as it's customary to write. Actually, in the English language, I do want to tell you that it's very culturally, it's very grammatical. In, let's say, when I was doing this lecture in Russian, I actually had to explain why the word I was written in capital letters, because in Russian, it's not culturally inappropriate to write the word I, to refer you to yourself in capital letter, because, who are you to be talking about yourself in such high, to start yourself with a capital letter. So it's interesting to know that even culturally, linguistically, there is different mentality associated with understanding who you are and how you present yourself to the world, right? In English language, I remember learning this and was quite interested, quite, affected by it, that the letter I always starts when you refer to yourself as an I myself, and, I am, always starts with a capital letter, because you're a human being. And that was so interesting to notice, how this reflection of the inner essence of who you are, that you carry a bit of godliness within you, just like we write the word God, the divine, with a capital letter. You write the letter I when you refer to yourself with a capital letter, because you know what? You have this connection. You are a part of God. You carry a sparkle of godliness within you. So yes, you have the right to refer to yourself as I with a capital. So you sell I, but it's not just I, that I am myself now, but it's I that refers to the self, to my soul, right? I refers to my soul. And we know soul is past, present, and future. So all three parts. I forgives, right? Forgives myself. I forgives myself. Forgives, we always say in the third, as in we are talking about somebody else. Why? Because this I is not who we are. It's not something we refer to. It's me. I'm forgiving myself. You're not forgiving yourself. It's rather the I, the soul, right? Something beyond the world, right? In the religious circles, they actually teach that I refers to God, this divine energy, this godliness within us. That's who we refer to when we say I. We actually sometimes say the God, the divine, you can say, right? The universe. Forgives, that's why it makes more sense that the person is talking in the third tense, right? I forgives myself is two different worlds. It's my and the word self. Again, self as it's referred to the Jungian term of self as myself, my being, right? Self refers to my whole being. Again, and it refers to my present, past, and future. Okay, so the phrase is I forgives myself. Okay, so there is a fifth phrase. So we can say, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And then we accept the forgiveness. That will kind of, will allow you to go beyond this loop, because sometimes when people say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, they actually do get stuck over here in the mental. I actually had clients who had that, right? They say they can't stop saying, please forgive me. They can't stop saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me. They're used to this, especially people who grew up, they were upbringing, their parental upbringing was based upon fear, based upon, reverence, based upon the fact that, parents are bigger than you. So you have to, this authoritarian style of parenting. I'm sorry, please forgive me. People cannot go beyond it, and they end up getting stuck still, right? So this fifth phrase saying, you can say God or the divine forgives myself, right? And then I myself actually added the sixth phrase, because think about it. What happens every time when somebody says, please forgive me, and you say, I forgive you, right? Or when we ask somebody, please forgive me, and that person says, I forgive you. How do we feel? What is the next step that's necessary in order to complete this process, okay? In order for us to say thank you, we need somebody to say, I, or again, God, the divine soul, universe, I loves myself, right? There's a famous series of books called No David. It's a children's book about this boy who is a very curious, very happy, very energetic boy who constantly does things. They're very, whimsical. Kids love reading about it because he does something funny, something not very appropriate, like putting too much food in his mouth, or, putting toys. I'm answering Marla's question. I forgive myself. Yes. So I forgive myself is, I believe it was something that Dr. Hulan together with Dr. Joe Vitale added it. I don't think it was Morna Simeona. I'm not sure. I do believe, I do want to note here that, remember when we talked about the inspiration, that we're all connected, that Dr. Hulan actually learned with Morna Simeona for 10 years, like he actually was her disciple, her personal assistant, so to say. So I think when the fifth phrase came about, again, Dr. Joe Vitale, I learned it from Dr. Joe Vitale, but I know that Dr. Joe Vitale connects closely to Dr. Hulan. And again, at this point, Morna is not with us, right? Actually in Hawaii, they have a statue to her, right? Once she passed away, they put a statue up for her. But I know since Dr. Hulan was so connected to her, I think that the fact that we do say this phrase is connected to the fact that it's okay to say that. It's okay to go forward. It's okay to progress. We're not saying full transformation or changing the phrases. We're not changing the phrases, but we are adding important components in order for us to go on in the present modern life, right? In order for us to understand that sometimes people, due to this collective unconscious being so huge, right? This guilt, this cultural guilt not on a personal level, right? Like this client that I'm referring to, from what she was telling me, her mother was like that. It's a collective unconsciousness. It's ancestral, again, family trauma, right? When in order to clear up the collective unconsciousness, it's okay to add, right? So we're adding, I forgives myself. And I went further. Again, like I was saying, based on the story, right? So this book, No David, right? This boy whimsically constantly do certain things, right? Where he constantly throw the toys around, doesn't clean up, puts a lot of food in his mouth, and then chews with a mouthful, all this whimsical stuff that kids would feel related to, right? And then of course, always toward, in the third part of the book, he always does something that's very not good, right? Like playing baseball in the house and breaking the window, or when he goes to school, he writes on the desk, right? And then the mother or the teacher, right, if he's in school, says, oh, you go in your room or go sit on the chair and think about what you did, right? You need to start thinking about your actions. So David always goes in the room and there is a sad moment. And then of course, then he comes out, he cleans up his rooms, or he actually washes the table, the desk in the classroom, right? And then he comes at the end and he always says, I'm sorry, to the teacher or to the mother, right? To this, again, to the mother archetype, the mother figure. And the mother always says, I forgive you. And then the book always finishes with the phrase, I love you. Okay, so there were one of the examples, right? Again, based on many other studies, based again on seeing how the clients interact, how it works with people in general, how the mind, the consciousness or subconsciousness in this case works. We say, we add the phrase after saying, please forgive me, we say, I forgive myself. Again, you can say the divine, God, the universe, whichever one works for you. You can actually vary and send different ones of them. Then you say, I love myself. After the forgiveness comes love, guys. This is a natural way of life. Okay. This is how life works. Think about it. This is how you deal with a child. And remember how we said that allegorically, the human being is a child. And we have the father and the mother archetype, the father archetype, and then we have the divine. Okay. And I have a question in one of the groups. Somebody asked me and they said, when we say I'm sorry, who do we say it to? Do we say it to our inner child, to our actual child? Do we say it to our parents? And I do want to note, and I said I will explain it in the session, that when we say I'm sorry, whichever phrase we're saying, thank you, the gratitude, the love, the expression of love, when we are expressing our, sorry, when we're expressing our understanding that we did something wrong and we are looking for forgiveness, right? Kind of rectification or something, right? We are saying it to different archetypes in our life. We can say it to our inner child. And again, that would be our inner self, our soul, right? We know that inner child refers to this sub part of us, the persona, as Jung refers to it, of us who's like traumatic, right? Who tends to be sometimes traumatic, sometimes happy, who is in our sessions, we refer to as memory. This experience that sometimes wasn't good and it kind of build up and it stays within our emotional and mental world. Our inner child is here, right? Sometimes the inner child is in the subconscious and the inner parent in the unconscious, right? The inner parent refers to the father because fathers are usually the archetype of somebody who's more strict, who likes to be, more authoritarian. And mother is a kind of an archetype of a parent who's more forgiving, more softer, caring, and tends to be, it's okay. Yeah, thank you, Marla. Yeah, I agree. The fifth and the sixth phrase are very beautiful and nourishing to the soul. Exactly. That's what I felt was like when Dr. Joe Vitale proposed this right away. I started doing this and then it naturally led me to this. And then, of course, what happens? We all know, even from Neurographica, right? We need to have 7, right? The structure of 7 is very important, is how the universe operates. This is how our world, our physical world operates with the number 7 as the main structure, right? And that's where I came in with number 7. The 7th step in our Ho'oponopono program is saying, I am happy, right? And in this level is where we do our most fun idea, the laughter therapy, right? Laughter therapy, right? I know Michelle asked me, she said, where is that video you promised where you're going to do the laughter therapy? So maybe we should do that, guys. We should actually do the laughter therapy, like gather on Zoom. Maybe I'm going to do a separate, like gathering on Zoom. I have to figure out time-wise, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning, gathering on Zoom for like 10, 15 minutes and just doing the laughter therapy, which I think is so beneficial. It's so amazing to do, right? So when you say I'm happy, and here comes question, how do happy people behave? What do happy people do, right? Some people sing, some people dance, some people draw, right? Happy people express themselves. Happy people are people who are connected to their inspiration, to the divine, and the inspiration comes to them. And it always comes at the, Marla, we have to have you. Your laughter is just contagious. We have to have you in the laughter therapy. I'm going to work according to your time frame, okay? Because I definitely want you there. So when we say happy, when we are saying I'm happy, you are connected to the divine, to this infinite energy source, to the inspiration, right? And in order to make it more tangible, in order to bring it down to the physical world, right? Because you can just say, I'm happy. And yes, you will feel some kind of, there will be some kind of feeling. I don't know about you, but if you start doing more awareness with certain time, you will start noticing that your body has this feeling, this sensation within yourself, that you feel differently. When you say happy, when you start smiling, you get this kind of sensation within yourself that's good. It makes you floaty. That makes you want to fly. That kind of makes you back straight in your wings. You start feeling the wings, guys. You know, when you start having a sensation within the ribs in your back, guess what? That's the wings area. This is where you're allegorical, or not so allegorical, you know, but we do have wings, guys. We sometimes put them away and we often don't feel them, but we do have those wings. When you start connecting to your happiness, to your inspiration, to the divine within you, to your soul, your wings starts, you know, fluttering a bit. They start letting you know, I'm ready to fly. We do need to fly in order to get inspiration, in order to fantasize, right? But how do we bring it down to the physical world, right? One of the reasons why I enjoyed having Neurographica is because as much of a flyer I am, right? I'm a bird. My Hebrew name is actually one of my Hebrew names. One of my Hebrew names is Lana, which is a tree, right? Again, hint, hint, all of you guys join me for the tree drawing in what? In about an hour, right? My second Hebrew name is Tzipora. Tzipora means a bird. I'm a bird. I am very much of a flyer. I can sit down and fantasize and fly up. But it's important to understand that whenever you fly up, you must get down. You must bring your inspiration to the world. Neurographic is an amazing method to allow yourself to bring whatever your inspiration, your idea, your desire, right? This spark, this project you got in your mind, bring it down through all the filters, how to make it, you know, give yourself a plan, give it boundaries, understand what it's about, and then how to realize it in your world, okay? It's very important. Those of you who want to actually start realizing Neurographica in your world, right? What do you call this? Commercial break, right? Are invited to join me for the specialist course. We're actually doing this week, Thursday and Friday. I'm very excited. The first specialist course since the summer break, right? So everybody's welcome to join. I usually do it every 2-3 months. So definitely welcome to join if you want to get your specialist, if you want to start bringing Neurographica to the masses, to the people, start giving master classes, using it in your professional life. The perfect way is to learn how to bring your idea from here, the spiritual world, to the physical world, or actually start realizing is the specialist course. I definitely attest to that. So getting back to this phrase, right? When somebody forgives you and you hear somebody loves you, you start feeling happy, you start feeling inspired. Bring that happiness to your world. Do the laughter therapist, right? You can just do it yourself. Just turn on a minute and just laugh. Look at yourself in the mirror, right? The mirror therapy is amazing, right? Like Louise Hay was teaching it. Absolutely, guys. Do the mirror. You can even do the Skype, you know, turn on the Skype and not the Skype, what you call the Zoom, right? Where you can see yourself and you get to laugh, right? You get to see yourself laughter, and it's very encouraging. It's very contagious. When you see somebody else laugh, you laugh as well, okay? So I want to go further, but first I do want to bring you to the laughter therapy. Let me see how much more. Yeah. When you do the I'm happy, this leads to something. If you ever watch The Miracle, if you ever watched, give me a second. If you ever watched the miracle session that I did, if you didn't, it's an open video on my YouTube channel. Everybody welcome to go see. The idea is that beyond the world, actually, this is something we discussed here, right? Remember how I told you there's a fifth world? Well, the miracles, right? The divine, the inspiration comes from the fifth world. This is where we have the miracle, right? In order to bring your inspiration, in order to connect your inspiration fully, we get to the higher world, the world that is beyond our understanding. We cannot tangibly or logically connect to it, but we can, again, connect to it through different means. One of them is Ho'oponopono, one of them is Neurographica. I'm going to tell you a bit more today. Also, I'm going to connect you to the chakra system, and the essential oils is another great way to connect to the outer world, to something beyond yourself. But the idea is that the number 8, right? There's an 8 number. 8 is the number of the miracle. In many cultures, in many integrative practices, 8 is going beyond. Remember how I said 7 is the structure of the universe, right? The structure of the universe are the 4 worlds, right? But there's something going beyond. Once we reach the 4 world, we realize there's going beyond, right? There's going beyond the universe. There's going into galaxy, right? It's understanding that the world is so vast. The universe is vast. It's much more than the planets even, right? It's much more the human being actually, the way they studied space, I think it's like maybe 1 or 2% of space has been studied. It's so unclear, and thinking about the progress we've been making for the last, 100 years, it's still, there's so much we don't know about space, that there is so much more. We know about the planets, right? And currently scientists are actually like, they just demoted one planet. They said Pluto is not a full planet. Basically science, as much as it tries, right? There's so much we don't know. There's so much vastness, and there is a different world. There is a different, I don't even know how to call it, universe, galaxy, whatever you want to refer to it, right? Something beyond the world we live in, beyond our understanding. And in the, within our logical or psychology or whatever scientific or social scientific world, referred to as number 8. Why? Because 8 is also the number of infinity. It's a sign of infinity, okay? So in many cultures and many learning, Kabbalistically also, number 8 is a sign of infinity. Number 8 is this loop that constantly goes around and around, and we're constantly creating and we're constantly connecting, right? There's so many explanations. I actually did a video, again, I have an open video from maybe 2-3 years ago. I don't know if I did this in English. I know for sure I did this in Russian, where we connect the idea of partnership, right? Where there's one circle and 2 circles and you connect, and then there is this infinite loop, this infinity where you constantly create, right? It's about like marriage, it's about partnership, it's about finding your significant other, and it's about glasses that people put on to see the world, right? How do you see your world? There's so many allegories and connections and metaphors here to this shape, to this symbol, okay? What I want to bring here is that the Ho'oponopono system that I'm bringing to you, the program, consists of 8 phrases, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4 traditional, then we have number 5, 6, right? 7, right? I'm happy. You can also say I'm joyous, right? Anything that will bring you to the state of resourcefulness. And then comes the miracle. We do the laughter therapy, and you know what happens? You catch a resource. In Neurographica, this is where we draw the fixing shape, okay? This is where we catch the resource that will give you the necessary energy, the necessary component for whatever it is you're doing in life, whatever you're trying to bring to this world, your project, your idea. It could be personal growth. Again, it could be, relationships, finding a significant other, having a child, or improving your relationship with your child, one of this, okay? But that's what it is. This is the part where you are connected, and you're not just connected to the divine, but you're taking that inspiration. Some of you who are in my Neurographic Transformational group, do you remember, if you watched the last session, how I showed you this biodynamics explanation, the showing how when you reach up your hand, you grab something, you bring it down, you look at it, you say, this is what I want, this is what I need. And then you own it. You bring it to yourself, you put it to your heart, and you open your hand and you infuse it within yourself. Right? Again, it's like partially meditational work, again, involving your body, involving the breathing. So things, all the transformation that we do, it shouldn't just be up here or in your mental or emotional world. Bring it to the physical world. Start changing your reality. Bring it to the world, to your community, to your family. Okay, start changing your reality, your environment. You start seeing more possibilities, more opportunities in the way you do things, in the way things open up to you, in order for you to start doing more, okay? I'm gonna leave the laughter therapy for the end before we actually start drawing the tree. I actually started thinking at one point, I was like, oh, doing the tree, it's such a great closure or ending, even though this is not the end. Everybody, actually it is the end, because I'm not sure still what I'm doing with the labyrinth Ho'oponopono. I'm gonna have to see what's involved again. I might do partially the labyrinth Ho'oponopono openly, where I explain the labyrinths, but the drawing of the labyrinths is such a, it's honestly such a personal journey that I am not sure I want to do it in the open, because I want to give people a chance to be able to talk about it, to relate, to connect to themselves. And so I would be able to guide the process, okay? So if you just want to join, those of you who, let's say, if you weren't sure if you want to join the Ho'oponopono drawing Neurographic practice, welcome to join me for that one session, the Ho'oponopono labyrinths. Okay, I may do, like I said, a half an hour open session just to explain the labyrinths and the connection to Ho'oponopono, but then the practice itself will be in the closed group. If you want to do it, PM me, you know, it's honestly, it has to be some kind of energy exchange, but it's really pay as you wish. So if you want to send any amount you sent, it's fine. I will include you in the group, okay? So we'll do the laughter therapy later before we draw the tree. At this point, I want to take you further. Let me know if you do have any questions. I want to take you further again to explain more. Okay, so Marla asked me last time, how do you do the square, right? Remember last time we did this by saying, thank you, I love you. We did the breathing meditation, right? The I love you goes here. And then last time we did, I'm sorry, please, I'm sorry, and please forgive me. So when you do the phrases, right? There are different ways you can do the square. You can do thank you, I love you here. Then here you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. No, I'm sorry. 1 second. You say thank you here, I love you here. Then I'm sorry, please forgive me. You combine the two phrases into this area when you do the exhale. Remember, this is inhale. This is hold. You hold your breath, right? You feel how this air that you just inhaled kind of filling up your body. You connect to this filled body, right? Then you exhale, right? And by the way, this connection between the body being empty of the air and the full of air connects you further and dissolves your duality in life further, right? It decreases the duality that you constantly see in life. I'm going to talk more about dualities when I talk about the financial, the psychology of money program. Then you do exhale, and over here you say, I am sorry, please forgive me. Okay. And then over here, you can say, right, you can be quiet. I would do the opposite. I would do this. I would say, exhale, I'm sorry. And then when you hold your exhale, you know, your body empty, kind of without the air, you say, please forgive myself. Right? And then you start the cycle again. And this time you remember when you say, please forgive myself, then once you inhale, you kind of have more hope because somebody tells you, I forgives myself. Again, you can send the divine forgives myself. And then we can say God or the divine loves, or I, right, loves myself. Remember saying myself, not as in myself, but myself is two different words. And then over here, when you exhale, you proclaim, I am happy. And then you feel this feeling of happiness within you. Okay, different scenarios you can do here. You can actually combine for exhale and say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And then when you hold, you can say, I forgives myself, I loves myself. And then when you inhale again, you can say, I'm happy. I practice this in different scenarios, practice this in different ways, see what works for you. And I do want to tell you in different areas of your life, in different ways, it's going to work differently. Sometimes you will feel like saying this, you know, separately. Sometimes you will feel like combining certain phrases together. Sometimes, again, when I'm in a very hyperactive mind, like excited, or like, you know, when I'm doing in the gym, seriously, when I'm in the gym, I sometimes say these phrases and I say them quickly. I say, thank you. I sometimes say this 4 times, right? Remember 4 worlds that we need to clean. So each side takes me 4 times saying the phrases. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, love you, love you, love you, love you, sorry, 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 forgive me, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me, forgives myself, forgives myself. Well, saying forgives myself may take, you can just say forgives, 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 loves, 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 happy, happy, happy. And over here, you just connect to the happiness. You know, you have this meditation or the silent vipassana moment, you know. Just feel yourself. You feel your body, you feel yourself, this aura of happiness, infusing the happiness, right? What we usually do after the laughter therapy, we stay for a few moments and we just enjoy. We infuse this aura of laughter, connection, divine inspiration, right? That's what happens. This is the idea of explanation of the breathing. Okay, we have 40 minutes. I want to tell you the idea, bring you the idea of two ideas. One idea is Ho'oponopono inner child meditation, okay? And the idea, again, talking about your inner child, let's talk about your actual children, okay? First, I want to bring you the Ho'oponopono inner child meditation. I will put this, remind me, guys, Marla, if you can, remind me, put this also in the group, because I think, you know what, we're going to do it this week. I'm going to do it either Thursday and Friday with you so you guys can fully practice this, okay? The Ho'oponopono inner child meditation is absolutely amazing. We can do it together now, okay? It's the relationship between the emotional world and the physical, the relationship between the mother and the child. We talked a lot, again, about the, you know, the understanding that we, you know, for the last 10, 20, I don't know, 30 years, the consciousness has been raised. The field of psychology constantly talks about this inner child, the idea of the inner child, right? Let me take a paper since you guys are used to me doing my notes here, right? We have inner child. I want to do a green marker. Inner child, right? I want to change my color marker, right? When we're talking about inner child, I feel it should be green, right? The element of the wood, right? The beginning, right? Inner child, we discuss a lot the idea of the inner child. When we actually draw the ARL, the beginning of the basic of understanding of how Neurographica works, I often refer to it as the algorithm of the inner child, because when we do the ARL, it's revealing, you know, that first catharsis, it's revealing this inner child within you, this catharsis, right? It's something, this inner child, which is hurt, which is traumatized, which is scared, and you bring it out and you release it. That's why when we do the catharsis, it's so emotional. We scream, right? We bring it out, right? It kind of actually also shows you, like, you know, how the child is born, right? We give birth through screaming and toil, and, you know, this not sometimes, most of the time, most women, right, would say it's not a pleasant, you know, it's painful experience, physically painful, and understanding that the baby, when it's born, right, it's covered in this kind of what is it, mucus, you know, and this, you know, amniotic fluid, and it's all red. It's not like such a beautiful baby kind of, right? I have one daughter who's obsessed with babies. Every time she sees a baby, she doesn't know, she starts looking and saying, oh, the babies is the most beautiful thing in the world, you know, and I agree with her, right? But the firstborn, right, we know the newborn, the babies that just came out of the womb, right, who just went through the birth canal, right, that baby is red, covered in this kind of white thing, right? And that's what our catharsis is, right? Originally, it's like this kind of, sometimes it's even like very faint. And then we start rounding it and making it more clear and making it more kind of bringing it, making it more visible, right? We go over the lines. And it's this baby who is just washed, right? They wash the baby, and then they bring it to you and they put it in your hands and you start seeing this baby, right? Nowadays, they actually allow you to hold the baby even unwashed, because they say this connection, this emotional connection with the mother is so strong that it's not, the most important thing is not to wash the baby, but to allow the baby to stay in the mother's hands and feel this connection with the main, you know, kind of source of energy in the world for the baby at the moment is the mother. Okay, so again, we work a lot with our inner child. And again, that's a reference to the physical child, right? To the physical idea of how we are born, how we come into the world, and how we start exploring the world, right? How sometimes we become traumatized or stressed, and that kind of builds up, right? So the inner child, this part of us, a persona of us, hides within us and waits for a moment to come out. So we allow it to come out, right? First thing we do is acknowledging the idea that there is such a thing as an inner child. Then we acknowledge the presence of the inner child, okay? And when you start connecting to your inner child, you say the phrases, right? You say the Ho'oponopono words, you say, thank you, I love you, right? And remember, this is a connection to how I explained allegorically that mother always makes the first step. Number one, it's the mother who makes the first step to understand that in order to have the best possible, create the perfect world for her child, right? We know that the mothers, they think of their child, they have this connection, intuitive connection to the child being this energy that succeeds in the world, right? And she wants the child to have the better world that she has, right? We all kind of, whether we admit it or not, that's how the human mind operates, right? And the mother thinks about having the perfect world, and she wants to create this perfect world, right? And she starts saying the phrases. And with us on the meditational level, we start saying the phrases and we say, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. When you start sorry to please forgive me, you start connecting to your inner child. Again, the inner child is this archetype, right, of the sub-persona within you. Freud actually also referred to it as a shadow, right? The sub-persona is just something part of us that's hidden in the shadow, that's afraid to be in the light because it's been ostracized or shamed or any other things that a child experiences, human being experiences through the process of something we call life experiences, right? And when you say this, connect, as you say that, as you say the last phrase, right? As you say, please forgive me. Listen to the child, see what the child looks like, what is the child doing? Is it looking up at you? Is he trying, respect, ask permission at every step, every step say, is it okay if I connect to you? Is it okay if I look at you? Always ask permission. Think about it. What is childhood? Childhood is area, if we look at it as adults, right? Seriously speaking, childhood is a time of life when everything gets decided for you. Okay, your parents, I'm not even talking about manipulation. That's a completely different topic. We can discuss it some other time, right? I'm thinking maybe probably next year, this year, I'm focusing on the psychology of money. Next year, I'm focusing on, I already know for myself, I'm going to focus on the childhood development and again, Neurographica connection to it and everything else, right? But the idea of a childhood that everything gets decided for you. Think about it. The parents, the adults around you decide what you're going to wear from the very little, right? What you're eating. Of course, they keep in mind what's best for you. But the idea of autonomy, right? It's important to understand that the child is learning how to become more autonomous, how to start understanding or learning to understand what his or her inner needs are, inner desires are, right? The ability to learn how to do this on their own, connection to the divine. How do their children learn how to do this on their own? Okay. And that's the idea. That's why when we do the inner child meditation, we are very careful to be aware of the space of the inner child. We ask the child's permission at every step. And here's what we can do with the inner child meditation. We say, please allow me to stroke the top of your head with care and love. And if your child allows you, you start, stroking with your hands physically, right? You can actually do the physical, right? You feel, right? You can actually do it on top of your head because remember, your inner child is who you are, right? And, start doing this, start understanding that the ultimate goal is to teach your inner child to do this on their own, to do the Ho'oponopono on their own, to say all the phrases, original 4, and then the other 4, not the phrase, the last one, number 8, is not the phrase, but the feeling, connecting, taking this feeling of being happiness and bringing it down to the world, right? And ask in each step, say, can I stroke your head? Can I stroke your hands? Can I hug you? Can I, comfortably pat your shoulders, you know, breathing, when you do the breathing exercise, it energizes your inner child, understanding that, we need to make our inner child feel comfortable and maybe connect. Remember, when you connect to the inner child like this, you're also working on your inner parent. For those of you who are not so sure about what inner parent is, maybe I'll do one open session, but for now, this is something we learned at the Butterfly Effect Transformational Program. Amazing course. And it's so amazing to see how the person, when you do this meditation, you actually develop your connection with the inner child. And you know what? You develop your connection with their inner parent or inner adult, right? Because again, talking about dualities that I mentioned before, we all have dualities. We either see ourselves as a child, right? Or as an adult. We can't combine those two because in our mind, it's two different things. When you work on this meditation, you allow yourself to fuse. Again, when you work on the dualities, guys, dualities is always here. Duality comes from the part where we start thinking, do I live in the physical world or do I go to the spiritual world, right? And we kind of disregard these two middle worlds, right? We're disregarding the mental and the emotional world. We're constantly thinking we need to earn living, we need to be in the physical world. And remember, I discussed this in the first session, or we want to be in the spiritual. We want to constantly connect to the infinite energy, the infinite source. We want to constantly be connected to the inspiration. And we kind of disregard these two worlds, right? We kind of dump everything in there and they work as a shadow. We need to learn to clear everything. The duality of, the child being more spiritual because the child is fantasy, the child is careless, and the adult being more physical, taking care of physical life, carrying doing something heavy, actually heavy work, working sometimes, a lot of people work with their hands, right? Connecting this is so amazing, guys. This morning, tonight we're starting the last 2 days of the holiday of Sukkot. We're actually going to start, something called Simchat Torah. Simchat Torah, I want to tell you, is the 8th day, and it's full connection to this 8th phrase that I gave you, right? It's connection to the miracle, where the circle kind of seals itself, right? And we start reading the Bible, the Tanakh, which is the Jewish Bible, right? We start reading, we say the last phrase in the Bible, and then we start saying the Bible again, right? God created the world, right? The heaven and the earth. And it's interesting to note, right, that when we do this, right, I was trying to tell you that this morning. So right before I came to the session, I had some dough out from last night. I had a frozen dough, right? I have dough in my freezer. I froze it because I was trying to make challah, right? The special yummy, tasty bread, the sweet bread that we eat on holidays, on Shabbat, right, on Sabbath. And of course, I made the round challah, right? I'm going to try to remember to take a picture and post it. But the point is, and at one point, I actually led challah workshops. Maybe I'll do one session where I'll do one video explanation when I connect, when you create bread. I want to tell you there's something magical about bread, the bread itself. When you connect, when you create dough, you actually connect physical with the spiritual, and you go through your emotional and mental world. Remember how I'm telling you there are different ways to connect to the spiritual, to connect to your divine. So people who enjoy doing things with their hands, you can make bread. There are people who make bread every day, a few times a week. At one point, I used to do that once a week. I would gather ladies and we would actually connect and gather together and we would create dough, right? And then people would go home and make challah out of the dough. But I want to tell you, making dough is a very, for people who don't know much about it, it's a very spiritual experience. When you connect each ingredient, it's going beyond just water, what flour represents. We get very mindful about it. Again, yet another venue for you to understand that there's no duality. There's no physical world separate from the spiritual. We're all connected. We just need to work on the connection more, clean up the mental and the emotional. Okay, again, doing various venues. Hey, Peggy, I'm so happy to see you. Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here live with me. I'm so excited, yeah. So again, different venues, different ways to connect, decrease the duality, guys, in your life where the physical has to be disconnected or separate from the spiritual. Connect yourself together, connect yourself, clear up the emotional and the mental world, and connect yourself together. Okay. So that's connecting to your inner child meditation. Now I want to bring that further and start giving you the explanation and maybe practice some experience on how you can actually teach your children, right? However small or big they are, right? The bigger, well, it's actually easier to explain how you can explain it to the bigger. You just give them the Joe Vitale's book or just tell them about the Ho'oponopono practice, and just kind of kids start seeing connection, kids start understanding, right? But in my live seminars, I would ask question, how do you explain it to little children? And I would say the very first thing you do, you know, when you give birth on the very simplest level, you just say it for your baby, right? You just say it for your child. You say the phrases, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And then you do the last 4 phrases, right? I forgives myself, or the divine forgives myself, the divine loves myself. And then you say, I'm happy, and you laugh and you become happy. You pass this happiness. Remember how we said that the child easily picks up this feeling of discontent from the mother. So try to get yourself happy even more. Allow the children to pick up the happiness kind of spark from you. Okay, learn to be okay, to be happy, right? We grew up in a generation where mothers, our mother's generation is the generation of women getting back into the world, right? Into the worldly affairs. Women after the Second World War, right? To the World War II, the biggest world war, the one that, you know, the most traumatic, the most emotional, right? For many cultures, for many, many nations, many countries, many cultures, right? And the women, right? The next generation after the war, right? My grandmother was the war generation. My mother was after the war generation. This is the generation when women started coming into the workplace, when women started learning that they can do both. And there came again that duality, right? They didn't understand how to combine it. How do they have a family, take care, give birth, take care of their children, connect to their children, cook, actually physically take care of their children, and actually work full time, right? There's a huge duality. And we know the generation below before us, and even the generation like my ages, I'm 40 something, right? Actually, yeah, I can say it openly. I just turned 45. You know, I find it to be very significant. When I turned 40, I had a very significant year. And now I'm 45, I'm embarking on a different stage in my life, right? I'm doing my PhD program. I am doing a lot of like open sessions. I see myself going, you know, kind of embarking on a different wave. But even my generation, right? Even I think, and I remember doing lots of programs, lots of workshops, right? Again, before the pandemic, when I used to do live, when I would connect, we would get to this point and we would have like open, you know, discussion groups where women would relate the major dilemma. We all know what it is, right? Career, work, or relationship, family, right? And there are women who choose to do both and they do it wonderfully. There's always constant thought in our mind where we think, am I doing enough? Am I being a good mother if I go and I open up a business and I spend my time with the business? I spend my time with at work, I'm becoming a boss, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Or do I stay at home, be a perfect mother, and lose my spark, lose this idea of inspiration, right? Some people do that with their family, right? Some people have children. I did that at one point. I stayed home for like 4 or 5 years. I did homeschooling. I homeschooled my kids. And it was an amazing period of time when I felt, you know, I gave all I have. I put all my energy into this parenting trait that I developed within myself. I got in touch with my inner parent, my inner child. And I brought this all to my kids. You know, my kids had an amazing, you know, homeschool year. I still remember as something amazing and fun. You know, we would go to museums, do a lot of hands-on projects. You know, it was an actual fun time. Okay. And the idea here is that, you know, start working with that. And I'm hoping the next generation, right? I have 4 daughters, thank God, right? I have 1 son and 4 daughters. And I see the way that developed, right? My oldest daughter, who's a teenager, well, not so much of a teenager, but she's still a teen, I tell her, right? She's 19, right? I say you have 1 more year of being a teen, right? she still has some hangups, right? She still has some ideas, some understanding, some trying to fit in, to understand where does she fit in as a girl, where does she fit in as a future woman, right? In the mostly male world, whether we want it or not. And I see, again, we all see the trend for the last 3-4 years, right? How it's turning, right? The world is becoming less male dominant and more female kind of appreciative, or female kind of aware world, right? And I can see that in my younger girls, right? My younger girls are 7, 9, and 10, thanks God, right? And they're completely different. Now, when I tell you with them, as soon as I learned the Ho'oponopono, I started practicing with them. First, I would say it at night, when they go to sleep, that would be a form of a prayer to them. And then I started practicing it with them openly. I would say before we go to sleep, we always have like a closure. We discuss, well, how was your day? What did you like to do during the day? What was your favorite part of the day? Always finish, always have this understanding, allow them to talk about it. I ask them, was there anything about the day that you regretted? Right? Again, bringing it to, I'm sorry, please forgive me, whether towards somebody else or toward themselves, or maybe they felt it from somebody else, that somebody did something bad toward them, right? Marla, are you with me? I saw that I got thrown out of the Zoom and now I got back. Okay, and I'm still live on Facebook. Did I disappear?
I'm here.
Did I disappear at a certain moment?
You did.
Interesting. Do you remember which part were you conscious?
You were talking about your 19-year-old daughter.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Let me do this. Okay.
So it's just like, I think it's been 2 minutes. I mean,
yeah, seems
yeah.
like it. Thank you. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. You're welcome.
And so at one point I started saying that I would just say it as a quiet prayer at night when I would I would put the kids to sleep, and then I would started saying it as part of our getting ready to go to sleep routine, right? Where we are, we would say before we go to sleep, we would always talk about what is it that I loved about my day. Was there anything I feel sorry or I felt like somebody did something not nice to me that I want to discuss, right? And then of course we would talk about, what do I want to say thank you, who do I want to say thank you, and what did I love about my day the most. And that would bring us, and then I would actually, do the phrases with them. I would say, let's say it out loud to each other. And sometimes we would, one child would say, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And I would, teach the other children or myself to answer back to them and say, I forgive you, I love you, I want to be happy, I want us to be happy, bring in the 3 other levels as well, and say, I feel happy, do you feel happy? And the child would say yes, or maybe not so much, or whatever. How do you feel? I would say, how does it make you feel when I say I love you, I enjoy being next to you? And then of course we would lead to, how does this happiness make us feel? What do we feel within our body? Again, lots of interesting discussion, guys. Once you start practicing with your own children, with actual physical children, you will start, again, the consciousness of the world around you will become different, will become raised, will become more evolved. You will see the environment around you changing. Just something I wanted to bring. I think that's about it. I think there was one component which is going to take much longer, so we're not going to go into it. I want us to have a break because in 15 minutes, we're going to start the Neuro Tree session. I want to do the laughter therapy and I'm going to say goodbye to you guys, okay? Let's do the laughter therapy. Let's do the number for 1 minute. Last time in our practice group, we actually went beyond the minute. So I was like quite surprised and happily surprised about that we can go beyond. Okay, I'm going to transfer my camera now that we discussed everything and drew everything and wrote everything. You can, we can go back to seeing each other. Okay, everybody join me. We're going to do the laughter therapy. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Everyone needs to unmute.
Yes, everybody unmute. At this point, everybody is just you, Marla, but we're looking forward to our practice group on Thursday, right?
We're going to get all revved up.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful idea. I like what you wrote here. Very nice idea. It's different, you know, with my teenage daughter, by the way, when I was telling that to her, she was stuck up on the I'm sorry. She's like, I'm not saying I'm sorry. I don't want to be apologizing to anybody. And it's such a teenagery view of life. And I was like, oh, okay. But that was funny. That was something I felt was like very funny. Marla, if you want to, you let me know, do you want to come into the picture or you want to just be heard? There you go. Excellent. Okay, we're gonna start. I'm gonna turn the 1 minute, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna laugh, 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 laugh. Okay. Ready, set, go. So much harder to stop, right? And just be quiet and just kind of infuse this aura of laughter.
I have tears.
I know.
Oh, you're the queen of laughter.
Amazing. Infuse this energy, this divine inspirational energy of laughter within you. You can comment here if you want, if you laughed with us. How did it make you feel, those of you who are watching live? Feel it in your hands. Feel it in your back. Feel it in your feet. Put your feet flatly on the floor and start feeling connecting to this energy in your feet, your knees, your whole body, your head, your mouth. This is a great exercise to actually do before you go to sleep, because it really does quiet your mind for quite some time. I want to say thank you to all of you. I want to say a special thank you to Marla for joining me today.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you to all of you who connected live at one moment. I know there were more of you and less of you. You can write in the comments after you do your meditation. How did you feel when you did the laughter? How was this connection to this special inspirational energy within you? This inner child within you who is happy to come out and join and be joyous. I'm going to take my break for 10 minutes. And in 10 minutes, maybe even less, in 8 minutes, I'm going to see you for an amazing neurotree drawing. The neurotree drawing will be at the World of Neurographica page. Okay, Petra, you're very welcome. I'm so glad to see you here. I'm glad to see you connecting to us today in the live session. Wonderful, wonderful feeling. Enjoy. I'm going to leave you by yourself. I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to say, yes, Janet, so nice to see you. I'm so glad you joined us today in live. I'm glad to have you in our energy field. I'm not saying goodbye because I do hope most of you will join me for the retreat drawing. Okay. I'm just going to say, see you later.
Thank you.